From Texoma's news leader, local, in-depth, community. You're watching KFDX 3 News at 10 in high definition.
Good evening, Texoma. I'm Erin Minihan. Topping our news tonight, more information is surfacing about Friday's tragic shooting in Newtown, Connecticut. We've learned the 20 children murdered in their classrooms at Sandy Hook Elementary School were virtual babies ages 6 and 7. There were 8 boys and 12 girls, and the 6 adult victims were all women. And among them, genuine heroes. NBC's Miguel Almagar has more on the incredible stories of heroism that are now coming to light.
In a town consumed by heartbreak and tears, tonight, tales of courage and heroism. When gunshots rang out at Sandy Hook, Janet Vollmer huddled her kindergartners into a back room. She saved the lives of her entire class and escaped unharmed.
She locked the doors, pulled the blinds down, the curtains, put paper over the window on the door, and then sat the kids in a cubby and read to them.
Just down the hall, another kindergarten teacher scrambled to close her classroom door to protect her students.
She came to the hallway, saw the gunman, and her comment was that she felt the earth shake.
Jeff Mubarak is a neighbor of the only surviving victim.
She went back into the class, secured the door, locked it, secured the children, and then realized that she had been shot.
The unidentified teacher, who tonight is still in the hospital, is said to have locked her door just before the gunman tried to pry it open. It's believed everyone in her class survived.
She's a hero, without a doubt.
Dawn Hochsprung, the school principal, reportedly ran towards the shooter. While trying to shield students, she was shot and killed.
She basically came to the rescue and she gave her life, for her students.
As news of the shooting spread, anyone who could help was on their way.
And as I drove up to the school, you could see all the ambulances there and parents just flying in.
Maureen Cairns, a mother of 5 and a nurse, led some of the smallest students to safety, then rushed to help the injured. But police told her there was nothing she could do.
I wish I could have had somebody in there that I could have actually helped. The hardest thing is that we couldn't do anything for them.
Tonight there is still pain and sorrow, but in this tragedy, some find comfort in the heroic acts of others.
Tomorrow, President Obama will travel to Newtown, Connecticut to meet with the families of the victims in Friday's mass shooting. White House officials say he will speak at an interfaith service Sunday evening for the families after meeting with them privately. He also plans to thank the first responders to the tragedy. President Obama's visit to Newtown will be the 4th time he has traveled to the city after a mass shooting. KFDX is gathering letters of support and comfort from the Texoma children to the students of Sandy Hook Elementary in Newtown, Connecticut. If your children or students want to take part, either bring or mail your letters to our studio at 4500 Seymour Highway here in Wichita Falls. The zip code is right there on your screen, 76309. And we'll make sure those letters are forwarded to the students at Sandy Hook Elementary. Dozens of local veterans took time today to honor and remember those who are no longer with us during this holiday season. More than a dozen people placed Christmas wreaths on the final resting places of veterans and others buried. At the Wichita County Cemetery, overall, 650 wreaths with red bows were placed on grave sites. Although this year is the first year volunteers have brought a torch of the Christmas season to the Wichita County Cemetery, it's not the first time they've done this.
Last year, while we did the cemetery down at Archer City, we placed the wreaths on veterans' graves there, about over 300 of them. So this year we thought we could do something for the county cemetery because these people don't have anybody to honor them or anything like that.
Some of these volunteers placed wreaths on graves early this morning at Eastview Cemetery in Vernon.
Hi, Winnie. Oh, let me get out of that picture.
Canines captured the spirit of Christmas by taking pictures with jolly old St. Nick. Petco made it all possible by bringing in Santa for this special occasion. More than 40 pet owners took advantage of this holiday memory. Petco officials say this year's Santa Paws barked up nearly $500 for the pets at the Wichita County Humane Society and Shelter Hearts in Bowie. Volunteers spent this Saturday working their muscles. Why? Well, to get the Wichita Trail in tip-top shape for an upcoming run. The Subaru Trail doctors dubbed it Best Urban Off-Road Trail in Texas. And as Lindsay Wapshaw reports, volunteers did more than just clean the trail today.
Armed with shovels and help from a high-powered vehicle, volunteers started digging up what avid trail runners call turkey meadows on the Wichita Trail. They are preparing for a big winter race, putting the final touches on the trail.
We need to add about 1.8 miles to the dirt trail in order to have a full, complete half marathon distance over here.
The Weekend Runners event will compose of a half and full marathon on the dirt trail, followed by a paved road race the next day. And if you haven't raced on a dirt trail yet, it might be time to give it a try.
It's so much fun, to run up and down hills. It takes you back to your childhood.
Just being on the dirt is so much different. It's more forgiving on your feet, and it's just such a different trail that you're on.
Michael Boyle is the president of the Wichita Falls Runners Club. He says the duel is not only great for runners, but for Wichita Falls, too.
It's a great event for our community, bringing people into this town and also to expose people to the trail. So many people don't realize that this place is even out here.
And until you take the trip to the trail yourself, you won't experience all the ups and downs it has to offer, from the manicured moguls built from today's volunteers. Lindsay Wapshaw, KFDX 3 News.
Runners are set to take steps in the duel January 19th and 20th. You can get more information on the race or to register for it by clicking on the link in this story at texomashomepage.com. A little more than 500 Midwestern State University students were rewarded today for their studying and making the grade. Family and friends looked on as graduates for MSU's December graduation ceremony walked across the stage and received their diplomas. Today's commencement took place at the K. Yeager Coliseum in downtown Wichita Falls. Our congratulations go out to all of today's graduates. Well, let's check in with Skip McBride at the Weather Center. So, Skip, is it going to be a white Christmas?
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. Not only that, about a year and a half, that's going to be you just walking across that stage like that. Funny you should mention snow for Christmas, because the computer models are saying that by Monday or Tuesday, a big storm system could be headed for Texoma, and that could mean cold and snow. Forecast coming up in a couple of minutes. Will it happen?
Welcome back. The scope of the tragedy in Newtown, Connecticut was visible in newspapers across America today and far beyond. The shootings dominated news coverage around the world. Here's NBC's Annabelle Roberts with more from London.
Das Blutbad hat weltweit.
Flags are flying at half-mast across America today.
Different languages,
Massacro nella scuola.
different continents, but news around the world was the same.
U.S. school shooting that left 26 people dead in Connecticut.
Accompanying the headlines, messages of support from world leaders. The Pope conveyed his heartfelt grief over what he called a senseless tragedy. In Germany, where 3 years ago a school shooting left 9 students and 4 teachers dead, Chancellor Angela Merkel said, "Once again we stand aghast at a deed that cannot be comprehended." Here in Britain, the Queen wrote to President Obama saying, "I have been deeply shocked and saddened to learn of the dreadful loss of life, particularly that so many of the dead are children." Britain has been through a similar nightmare. A school shooting in Dunblane in 1996.
The security and innocence of a Scottish village was shattered in the most horrifying fashion. 16 kindergartners were killed.
Parents ran through the streets of Dunblane, rushing to find out if their children were still alive.
Reaction to this provoked a tightening of British gun laws. Sarah Smith covered Dunblane.
Politicians, I think in the end, had no choice to give in to public sentiment and make sure that something like that would never happen again with legally held weapons.
Countries that have experienced similar tragedies tonight stand shoulder to shoulder with America as it mourns. Annabelle Roberts, NBC News, London.
Secretary of State Hillary Clinton is recovering after fainting and suffering a concussion. NBC News confirms Secretary Clinton is now at home recuperating. Clinton canceled an overseas trip this past week because of a stomach virus. According to the State Department, Clinton was dehydrated due to the virus and she had fainted, causing the concussion. Clinton is not expected to testify as scheduled at congressional hearings into the attack on the U.S. consulate in Benghazi. If you were concerned the world would come to an end this week, NASA has released a video to clear up the confusion.
According to media reports of an ancient Maya prophecy, the world was supposed to be destroyed on December 21st, 2012. But look around you. The whole thing was a misconception from the very beginning.
The 4-minute film addresses people viewing it on December 22nd, the day after the world is supposed to end according to the Mayan calendar. But NASA has produced this video as part of its Science Cast series, explain why they're confident the world will not end on December 21st. And we're here with Alex, and hopefully the world isn't going to end because I'm anxious to hear about the Throckmorton Greyhounds.
That's right, and hopefully the world, we have so many sports left, the world can't end. But yeah, Throckmorton tonight, going for their second straight state championship. We'll take a look at the highlights after the break.